Welcome to Peace of Mind for Pet Parents, the podcast by BrightHaven Caregiver Academy. I'm Gail Pope.
And I'm Karen Wylie. And together we're here to support you in navigating life with your aging or ill pets. We know how deeply you care for your beloved companions, and we're here to offer guidance, understanding, and resources for this meaningful journey.
Each episode, we'll explore topics that address the daily challenges, emotional realities, and choices you face as a pet parent, helping you and your pets find peace, comfort, and joy. Whether it's making sense of a new diagnosis, adjusting to changing needs, or simply seeking a place to feel understood, you're not alone. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Peace of Mind for Pet Parents. Gail, you were mentioning the overall concern about fear, about the worry of fear and how that plays out for each of us when we get a difficult diagnosis on our pets. And from that point, moving forward.
Funnily enough, this is one that came to me in my shower that I wanted to open up for myself and kind of try to think it through a little bit. And my thought began with something that isn't talked about an awful lot, something that as human beings, we kind of, all of us, regardless of our beliefs and dreams, the fears aren't really talked about. You know, I think we all have this innate fear that for some it's much more fear of death and for others it's less fear of death. But I think it's there for all of us, even those, you know, we believe in transition. We believe that death is a transition to X, Y, Z. But therein lies another little bit of fear. We can trust that there's X, Y, Z ahead, but we still fear the path to it. We still fear, well, I wonder what it is. You know, I mean, yes, let's be excited, but the fear goes along with the excitement. So I think then fear of death, as I began with, and you were talking about navigating a terminal diagnosis, that's when all of this comes into play. But we don't really open it up. You know, it's fear of, will I be able to do enough? Fear of, can I handle this? Will it be my fault? Will he die? I mean, there are just so many little pieces that fit into this big 4-letter word.
Really big 4-letter word, because like you say, we don't talk about it. We may not think about it because when we get the difficult diagnoses, we're very much focused on understanding what's going on and what does it do and what does this mean, and we're so focused on what to do for our pet that we're not really thinking about ourselves and what's going on with us. And yet if we don't look at what's happening at the same time for us, it's going to affect our care decisions. So it's
Mm-hmm.
all mixed in there, and I think it's really important that you've pulled out the fear piece.
Yeah, well, it really is something that I think we're learning as we grow. We're learning to talk to each other, to others, to family, to friends. We're learning to open up a little bit, to live in the moment, learn from our animals, practice acceptance. And we have these back and forth conversations about all these beautiful things. But we don't talk to each other about what's really scaring us. And it's kind of coming back to me now that in the course of all the different consultations I've done, it's something, again, that I have never directly addressed. And I think we say to each other things like, in my brain knows, but my eyes and my being don't quite know what this process, whether it be a natural end, whether it be a euthanasia end, or whether it be in the journey, but it's all building inside of us at that point. But that's not what we talk about. And we don't address those thoughts as, oh, this is my fear.
Yes.
and then address that as, I hope I'm not sounding muddled.
Making perfect sense.
Yeah, it's the unsaid word in the room that we we acknowledge it, I think. I think we do acknowledge the fact that I feel fearful that XYZ, whatever it is going to happen, or could be as simple as I fear his death, or I just fear death. That way, it's not somebody else's, it's an innate feeling inside of it, all of us. But I think the
Mhm.
time's to talk it out.
I think it is too. I also think what you just said a couple of minutes ago, that it's something that you think comes up in your consultations, but that you haven't addressed it. Why do you think you haven't brought it up in your consultations with pet parents, or not brought it up perhaps as often as you think could be or should be?
Good question. And, as I think about it, I think I have addressed it, but instead of addressing it emotionally and talking about my client and how she's feeling, I think what I do is that kind of comes into the care for the caregiver piece that I always talk about, but in answering their questions. When I get the diagnosis, how will I understand? And what if the vet doesn't have time to talk? I mean, there are just so many little places where they're expressing fear. I'm registering it because I feel it with them.
Yes.
But instead of addressing it head on and talking about it, I address the problem that they're facing that's making them feel like it. So in some ways, yes, I do address it, but again, it's still sitting in the corner of the room, not being actually directly acknowledged.
Right. Especially when consultations are so often one-time conversations. Um, you're addressing the urgent need, the urgent problem, which is very much focused on the pet.
And the practical.
Right, the very practical and the choices they might make about how to feed their pet differently, or approach their care plan differently, or the decisions that they're going to make. And certainly the fear definitely is at the root of the decision making process, because although we have that same dilemma sometimes in making decisions for other members of our family, we are the guardians of our pets, and the decisions to be made are on our shoulders all the time, and we're making it for our pet. And that's, I guess, where we often talk about how important it is to get the pet's perspective on things, so that perhaps that would reduce at least part of the fear, or some of the fear in some areas where you do feel like you understand what your pet would want, or you're monitoring the quality of life of your pet in an ongoing way, rather than just
Yeah.
that as a one-time event.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought about bringing animal communication into this, and what do our animals want? Again, we're focused on what they want. But I wonder if they would say, I want to reassure you, and I want, I want to alleviate your fear. Again, that's the fear equation. That's something I do in consultations, where I'll say to people, and this is another subject, and I won't go into it now, but about the cleansing nature of tears. And they'll
Oh,
they'll confide that they go to the bathroom and they have a good cry, and then they go back out and they're bright and cheery with their pet. And they'll be doing the washing up at the kitchen sink. And again, they're talking to Johnny in the next room and being cheerful. And I say to them, just your animal knows you. They're not just looking at the outside. They know you. They know you inside and out, and they know your emotional well-being. So I wonder if our animals would say, I really want to help you be less afraid.
especially since the pets live in the moment.
Yeah.
And we all should do a whole lot more than we do. But so many of our fears are about the future. It's the fear is, we may be feeling the fear at the moment, but it's really our thought processes about how we're going to handle the various small decisions and big decisions along the way.
Exactly. And so I think if we can learn to acknowledge them, well, again, this all comes back to care for the caregiver.
Yes.
You know, it's part of caring for ourselves is to acknowledge the fears we've got and be okay with it or not. And if
Right.
not, then maybe we need to take a little more time to just sit quietly. Maybe we, meditation, maybe Reiki, maybe the world of energy can actually help us let go. I mean, fear brings tension.
Very much so. Yeah.
And, I'm kind of doing it now. Oh, you feel the way everything in you tenses. So just sitting and breathing, just counting, sitting in front of your computer and counting 6 breaths would probably, again, really help you, as long as you're acknowledging that fear is what you need to let go from your body and your mind, obviously.
Right.
We have to look at different ways we can help.
Absolutely. Because you know, as you were saying, there are so many different fears, or the fear comes up in so many different ways. You know, sometimes it's the fear of death itself. So often it's constantly second guessing ourselves. Am I doing the right thing? All the time. Or is there something different I should be doing? And that can be a fear as well, or not doing enough
Yep. Oh, yeah.
along the way. And then, you know, that's part of achieving peace of mind, though, is addressing these fears, because otherwise, whether you're fortunate enough to have your pet for many months and years beyond a difficult diagnosis or a shorter time, you do want to have that peace of mind that you do feel like you did enough, that you
Okay, well, we brought that conversation right the way back to the beginning,
at the beginning.
where we are, and
Right.
striving for peace of mind for pet
Striving for peace of mind.
parents.
That's right.
It's beautiful. Thank you. That was really, really a lovely conversation.
And we will, I think, have more conversations about how fear comes up for us and how we can address it to achieve that peace of mind that's a goal for all of us with our pets. Thank you for being with us for this episode of Peace of Mind for Pet Parents. If you have found value in this conversation, we would invite you to subscribe. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.
We certainly will. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Peace of Mind for Pet Parents. We hope today's episode has offered you support and insight as you care for your aging or ill pets.
Remember, it's not just about the end, it's about living well at every stage of life. To continue your journey with us, explore more resources at BrightHaven Caregiver Academy's website, brightpathforpets.com, where you'll find guides, assessments, and a caring community of pet parents like you.
Until next time, may you and your pets find comfort, connection, and peace in every moment. Take care.